Kick. And today on the program, you're going to hear from a whole number of voices. It is the big show. Like, if that hadn't been coined in the 60s, we'd be referring to this as a really big show. if that wasn't old and passé and not quite back as hip. We have Rabbi Joseph with us. He's actually in the studio now. We're going to hear from Rabbi Joseph. You're going to hear from the guru of advice, the curator of the Mommy Revolution, Carla Barnhill.
Yeah.
You're going to hear from Jennifer. Jennifer is the owner and proprietor of the Smitten Kitten.
There we go.
Now, people have been hearing about the Smitten Kitten here on AM 950 for the better part of a year and a half. The Smitten Kitten advertises regularly on this station and regularly on this radio program. And I hear people say to me frequently, do you find it odd, Doug, that you have an adult sex toys ad running during religious radio that's not quite right? Like much like the look I just got from the rabbi that people give me. Very often, I get emails about this. Why do you have that as a sponsor? We're going to talk about all of this. She's not a sponsor of this show, but of the station.
Yeah.
It runs on the station. But I said, hey, let's have a conversation with Jennifer, who runs a Smitten Kitten, because I think religion and sexuality haven't known how to talk to one another.
Amen.
Very well.
Yes.
And that has created more problems in religion than it has in sexuality.
Yeah.
So we are going to talk with Jennifer, who is in the business of sexuality.
Okay.
Over here on Religious Radio, it's not quite right. Now that's at the top of the hour. That's coming at 1 o'clock. Our little, we're in the noon hour. This is our little. We have a rhythm for the first hour and a rhythm for the second hour.
Yes.
And she's going to be part of the second hour.
So stay tuned.
So stay tuned. I mean, grab the kids.
Yep.
And put them in another room.
Yeah. Right.
I don't know. In fact, I've wondered how do we talk about this? How should we do? So it's going to be an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
And of course, we're going to be joined by the natural health coach, Shelley Padgett, with her tip of the week.
Yeah.
The Shelley Padgett tip jar. We're gonna get a little advice on that, and we're gonna have a right on and a cripes. Come on, you got to be kidding me!
Wow, this show, it
is packed. It's like a big deli sandwich.
It is.
It's just squeezing out.
Oh sure, of course, Rabbi.
It's just going to be fantastic. Now, and I don't normally do this. I don't normally think about a theme of the show.
Yeah.
But John and I in our prep this morning, which we do for this radio program, started to think, you know what? There's a bit of a theme coming together on this program today.
Yeah.
There's something that starts to feel, and it was some of a conversation I've been having for the last couple of weeks with some friends, and it all has to do with, and I don't want to be overly philosophical with people, because I know that noon on a Sunday, people are used to taking it easy and sort of sliding their way, and they've just been to church. They've just been off to a brunch. They just got up. They've barely yelled at their kids today.
Right.
So they're just sort of easing into the day. So I don't want to be overly philosophical, but here's something that I think is quite important, and I think this radio show and some other endeavors in my life are really all about. We have a choice to make about how we're going to be enlightened people in the world that we live in. And we are faced with challenges and with opportunities that are new to the human experience. The kind of intercultural conversations that we have, people that grew up in different places, people that grew up with different approaches, people that grew up with different assumptions about the world, are clashing together now in ways that are brand new to the human experience. And I don't mean like yesterday or an hour ago. I mean in the last 100 years.
Yeah.
It's really new for common people to be literate and to be in conversation with people who are so different than they are in the daily rhythms of their lives.
That's true.
Now, there's always been, emissaries that go out from one culture to another to connect. But this idea that in your regular rhythm of your day, you're going to be with people who are so different than you is really new.
Yeah.
And it's unusual. So we're all figuring this out. And one of the options that we have in this modern, enlightened world that we have is that each one of us carry the burden of being individually expert in all the areas of our lives. That we could go through our lives saying, you know what, I know somebody who thinks different about religion. I know somebody who thinks different about food. I know somebody who thinks different about sexuality. I know somebody who thinks different about parenting. And what I need to do is extract the very best that I can from all those people and pull it all into me so that I become a well-rounded and enlightened person.
Yeah.
The problem is that's a completely impossible task.
Seems like a lot of work.
You can't do it, right? So people just get tired and they just say, I don't know, I can't pay attention to all that. And then what we end up doing is giving up. The other option, the other option to be an enlightened person is not to put this on the individual themselves, not to say that I am going to be the autonomous individual knower that knows most things about all things that I possibly can. Instead, we would say, I'm going to be an active member in a community of people where each one of us has the thing that we know best.
Yeah.
And when I'm with that person, I don't need to know what they know because I know them. And they get to be the memory. They get to be the opinion. They get to be the voice of the other idea. And in this way, the role of, and I'm going to air quote now, so if you're listening, you can air quote with me, the role of the other person, the different one, becomes necessary for us to be a well-balanced person.
Oh, yeah.
That rather than thinking about those who are different from us, that hold a different perspective than us, that have a different set of assumptions from us being the enemy, they become the necessity for us to be a well-rounded person.
Well, that's different.
So for a human being to live in community is far more congruent with how we're put together than for an individual to try to extract a little bit of the essential oils and juices out of everybody else's thoughts and blend it all into our own thinking. We're not prepared for that, but we are prepared to live in community, meaning that somebody different from us, maybe somebody we disagree with, maybe somebody who is so fully not like us, becomes essential to who we are. And I've realized that in my thought of religion, especially, and this being religious radio, that's not quite right, that is so crucial to a person who's going to be healthy religiously. Not just that they know their thing, but that they actually know people different from them on topics that they think are important.
Wow.
So in some ways, while we didn't plan this one today, that's why having the rabbi in the studio is so important, because I can't be an expert in Judaism.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be an expert in Pagidianism, right? I can barely figure that one out. I barely know what I think about things, let alone what an entire other culture of religious expression thinks. But I don't need to because I have the rabbi. I don't need to be the parenting expert because I know someone who is. And I'm not suggesting that we outsource this to other experts. I'm saying that we draw our arms around those folks and say, we're all in this thing together and we're going to be made more strong, we're going to be made more healthy, we're going to be made more vibrant by having a diverse community that becomes necessary. Now that is a bit different for human experience, because most of human experience has been to draw walls around your community to protect it from the outsider.
Yeah.
And now I'm suggesting that the only way we can be protected from the vandalism of ourselves is that we open those walls and call that a necessity.
Let's tear them walls down.
Tearing those walls down. Now, if we had this all prepped, we would play Pink Floyd The Wall right now, but I don't think we're going to have Pink Floyd The Wall right now on this one. So we're going to be back here. We're going to talk with the rabbi. The rabbi is going to be doing a Thursday Torah teaching, and I think it's going to be fantastic. I'm going to be there, and I want others to be there too. So we're going to talk about the Thursday Torah teaching that's going to start this Thursday, and then we'll be back with Carla Barnhill and Smitten Kitten and the folks from the sex shop too. Doug Badger Radio, religious radio that's not quite right, broadcasting on the Not Quite Right radio network out of the Twin Cities on AM 950 and at DougPadgettRadio.com.